Jesus and his disciples walked to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. What was Passover? Remember when God rescued the Israelites from Egypt by sending plagues of frogs and flies and darkness? Remember the angel God sent to kill the firstborn sons of the Egyptians when Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go free? That angel passed over the homes of the Israelites if they had the blood of the lamb over their doors. The sons of Israel were saved by the blood of that lamb. Ever since that day, Israelites have celebrated Passover with a special meal, just like the one they had that night in Egypt many years earlier. So Jesus and his disciples traveled to Jerusalem for Passover. Lots of other people came too, and many of them had heard stories about Jesus. As Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, a big crowd of people came out to meet him. They laid down palm branches in front of him, which was a sign of royalty. They shouted, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and blessed is the coming kingdom of David." It was like a parade for a king. This made the Pharisees and Sadducees very nervous. Since Israel was part of the Roman Empire, the Israelites weren't allowed to have their own king. The king of the Romans was Israel's king. Anytime someone in Israel said, "Let's have a new king," the Romans would send in soldiers and throw a bunch of people in prison, or worse. The Pharisees and Sadducees had to do something to stop all the commotion about Jesus and this talk of a new king. And they had to do it fast. But what could they do? Jesus and his disciples got together to eat the Passover meal, just like they did every year. But this year, Jesus did something different. First, Jesus told his disciples that one of them was going to turn against him by helping the Pharisees and Sadducees arrest him and take him away. All the disciples looked at each other. Who could it be? They wondered. Then Jesus picked up a piece of bread and said, "This is my body, which is given for you." After that, he picked up his cup and said, "This cup is the new covenant of my blood, poured out for you." A covenant is a promise, like the promises that God had made to Abraham long, long before. The disciples were confused. It sounded like Jesus was saying God was making a new promise, a new way to bless them and save them. And it had something to do with Jesus' blood and body. It had something to do with Jesus dying. The disciples couldn't believe their ears. Was Jesus saying that he was the new Passover lamb? That he was going to die to save them? But how could Jesus be king if he wasn't even alive? Everyone was confused. After dinner, Jesus went out to the garden to pray. He knew what he had to do next, and he knew it wasn't going to be easy. When he finished praying, Jesus turned to his friends and said, "The hour has come." And just at that moment, his disciple Judas walked into the garden, leading a group of soldiers sent by the Sadducees to arrest Jesus.